MissSimReno, and if you are returning to the channel, welcome back. If you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. Today we are in Oasis Springs. I am not here often, so this is kind of cool, and this build is a personal challenge for me. So I have mentioned it probably a couple of times just in various builds on the channel. When I'm using a style or building in a style that I'm not entirely comfortable with, or that I just feel as though I'm not as skilled in creating a structure or really getting down a certain kind of look. And today is one of those days. And the reason why I'm placing so much emphasis on it is because this is one that I was most scared to share with you guys. It's true. I'm very, very nervous to actually put this on the channel, have you guys watch it and gather your thoughts on it, because I really, really worked hard on it and I just really don't know how it kind of came out. Like, the outside structures, I think it's okay, and the inside's all right, but it's just, I don't know, it feels like it's missing something. So I don't mean to start off on that kind of note, but I wanted to let you guys know kind of where I was at with it, because at the end of the day, this really is kind of a, I don't know if I'd go as far, but like, it's a creative process, right? It's challenging sometimes. So I wanted to be very, very forthcoming with that this is one that I worked really hard on and it took a long time. And at the end of the day, I just feel like I missed the mark. So I'm really interested to hear what you guys think of it when you kind of see how it all comes together. But what I wanted to do, of course, this is kind of the more well-to-do, lush and green part of Oasis Springs. This isn't the desert part that is kind of on, the way it kind of looks on the map is that it's lower altitude, I think. I don't really know, but this is kind of like the nicer part of Oasis Springs, and these are kind of Spanish inspired structures. And forgive me because I forget the exact word, and you know what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to look it up as I do this voiceover. But yeah, I wanted it to be the same style of house that had been here. So I completely bulldozed the house that was here and just wanted to start from scratch. I was considering renovating these houses because overall, I actually really like the structure of them. For EA houses, I actually thought they were really nice and that they could just use some kind of gutting and renovation inside and maybe some additional accents on the outside structure itself, and maybe just changing out the color scheme, because as you can see, I went for a very dark and contrasting color scheme here, so it almost looks a little bit more modern. There are those stone, like kind of flagged stone columns as accent pieces that match the chimney that I just placed here, and I use the almost black, I think it's like a dark brown actually, but like the almost black roofing, as well as a lot of the windows and doors are also like that black or dark brown wood texture to kind of create that contrast. So yeah, that's what I was kind of going for, and that's what I was thinking of for the rest of the houses here. So maybe I will renovate at least one of them. I'm not really sure yet, but yeah, I don't know. So now the structure's pretty much coming together at this point. I'm really just adding some outside textures and starting with the landscaping. So overall, the more I reflect on it, I do really like the outside of this house, and I think it does match the world really nicely. I think it looks very upscale, and I think that the landscaping, at least in this portion of Oasis Springs, can be very generous. It can be very green, and it can be very simple as well, because it seems as though the houses in this area, I don't know, they are a little bit louder than the landscaping. I don't know if that makes sense, but that was my kind of thought process. And here's when I decided to actually add a pop of color to the outside structure as well. So I do use these bushes from Island Living, and this is where I'll go ahead and say this is exclusively base game and Island Living. So it's kind of a weird combo considering the world, but I wanted to try it because it seemed like a challenge, because a lot of these Island Living objects and whatnot and the style can kind of be used in this area because it is a little bit more lush, and I'm not going to go with tropical, but it's just a little bit more lush, and I felt like it worked. And with the very, very dark woods and the dark accents on the structure, I thought the red really popped, and I fell in love with it, because originally when I was building this house, I wanted it to actually just be base game. I was trying to do a base game only house, and inside, for the most part, in the furnishings, I tried to keep to just base game. So that's where the main struggle was. But yeah, I couldn't resist. I could not resist these red bushes because they're just gorgeous. And then at that point I was like, well, if I'm going to use the red bushes for Island Living, I'll just use any pack I want and we'll just add that ivy to the chimney because it's beautiful. Who cares? And then I kind of bumped the brakes and I end up actually pulling it off. I don't know if I do it on camera or if I actually do it off camera, but I take the ivy off. So there is not Jungle Adventure ivy on the structure and it is still base game and Island Living. I just got very excited because it was very, very pretty. I get very excited when I have an idea that I think works very nicely. And now we're actually on the inside already. The outside structure is pretty much done, though I do tend to the backyard a little bit later in the build. And I'm working out the floor plan, which I kept on camera. I'm really starting to do that more and more, so hopefully that's something that you guys wanted to see. I think I had a few people that did want to see it, and I hope that this lives up to your expectations because I did include it in this build as well. And this ends up being a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, and the floor plan is a little funky. It was kind of challenging because I didn't know where to put the stairs, and it immediately just made me think, oh my gosh, do you remember in The Sims 3 when we had spiral staircases? I do. It was wonderful, and I just immediately wanted spiral staircases so badly. They were such space savers when you were actually doing builds. I think it was The Sims 3. Gosh, if my memory is serving me correctly. I think they also had them in The Sims 2? Oh, I can't remember now. But all I can remember is that I was really excited for spiral staircases because they were such room savers. And I think I remember using them a lot in apartments in The Sims 3 or The Sims 2. So that would be a really great thing for apartments, but also it would be a great thing for a house like this where the floor plan's a little funky and the stairs are just so big. Like, they are just such big objects, and finding a good spot for them sometimes can be challenging. So this is where I decided to kind of just create a living space, and there's no TV in this room. It's just a seating area right in front of these giant windows, which I absolutely love. They let so much sunlight in, and I think it's such a beautiful spot, but it's also very long because of that staircase. So I do just make it a seating area, and this is where I use furniture from Island Living. So these are the new modern couches that we got with that pack, and now I'm trying to decide if I want to put a bookcase over here or what, because I didn't just want it to be seating. It looked a little empty, so I tossed a chess table over there. So they have a skill building item. That's when I started to think about the skill building items that I wanted to include in this build and trying to imagine the family that lived here. And yeah, it took some time. It really did. But I added just some candles and that open notebook on the table, and then I put a desk here because I thought it was kind of a nice place to put it on the other side of that half wall, since this is kind of just like a seating area in general, and there's no designated office. I don't know, I thought it kind of worked. You guys will have to tell me what you think of that placement, because upstairs I actually create the TV room with some bookcases and whatnot too. So there is a TV in this build, and the family can all sit and watch TV together, but it is not downstairs in this main kind of living space, which is a little different. The fact that the TV room is upstairs for the family to gather alongside the bedrooms and everything is a little odd, but nah, maybe this is just an odd house. I don't know. I was about to say, I don't know who came up with it, but I'm the guilty party, so it was me. But now we're in the front entryway on the other side of the half wall where I put that bench from Island Living, and I was going to put a hutch, but I ended up just putting an entry table with that desert photo that came with base game and just some other miscellaneous decorations. I wanted to use this horse statue, and I don't know why, it's just when I found it in the menu, I really had the urge to use it. So I was envisioning as well, like that desert landscape there. It kind of looks like the Grand Canyon, and then a horse. So I was thinking maybe like dad or one of the kids in this household is very much into like westerns, and that reminded them of it. I don't know, maybe it's dad. I would think if there's that much influence on decor downstairs, maybe that's it. But I don't know, that was kind of a fun thought, because maybe that was like their dream. They always wanted to be on horseback in a desert or cowboy or something. I have no idea, but it was kind of a fun thought to entertain. And now I'm working on the downstairs bathroom. So both of the bathrooms are full bathrooms. They're just really small, but there is the shower tub combo downstairs with the toilet and a sink, and they're very simple. I've been using this tile a lot in either bathrooms or kitchens because I don't know, it just, it's a very pretty tile, and it takes me away from the Parenthood tile that I use a lot. And especially since this was going to be base game and island living, I couldn't use the Parenthood tile. So finding that one recently, like in the past couple of months, was a really good find for me because I use it a lot. And I think it's very pretty. It's very clean. It's very, I won't go with like sophisticated, but it's just a very pretty tile. So I really enjoy it. And here I'm making the dining section. So it is a little odd that it's just kind of in this, I don't know, it's kind of in this, it's not a hallway, but it seems like it's in the center of everything. It's not its own separate room, which I thought was a little odd, but at the same time, this downstairs part of the first floor is very open as is, so I thought it worked okay. So I put that big dining table, so there's plenty of seating there. So let's just say that, you know, they had some guests over, they would all have a place to actually sit and have a dinner party. So maybe like mom or dad is actually in the culinary career and they enjoy entertaining to that level, so they do have neighbors and friends come over and they have dinner parties and stuff like that. That might be a cool idea to play around with as well. And now I'm just adding another side table with a stereo, so there is some music if they are into entertaining. And I moved on to the kitchen, which is not as decorated as a lot of my kitchens usually are. I usually go absolutely crazy with clutter and little homey touches, but I decided not to in this kitchen because, again, it's a little bit more upscale, a little bit more sophisticated, if you will, and it was a smaller kitchen than I was anticipating for this size home too, but it's just the way it kind of worked, and at the end of the day I actually really like it, even though it is very simple and not very cluttered at all. So I put the trash can over there and I'm just pulling out some random clutter, and I put one of those corner shelves there too, even though there is one in a different color on the other side in that same exact corner in the dining section. I thought it still worked, and all of the appliances are on one side of the kitchen aside from the fridge, which I'm still a little off about it now that I'm watching this. So now that I'm watching this and doing the voiceover, I like want to move the dishwasher somewhere else, and I know I end up moving the sink actually in the center, right in that center window, so that I thought was kind of a really pretty move to make. But aside from that, I kind of want to move the dishwasher somewhere else too. I don't know, because I end up putting clutter as well just in the corners of kitchens if I'm limited on counter space, and I thought it would be really awkward just to place some clutter in these center counters. As you can tell, I was very indecisive, and that's usually what happens when I'm trying to do something that is out of my comfort zone, or just it's really not my style. So like, this isn't how I would actually design my kitchen or my home, so it makes me uneasy and I'm very indecisive because I'm not certain about what I would want to put there. It's literally the definition of not being decisive, being indecisive. But anyway, we are on the little back entryway in a sense, and I do put a bar here. I thought it was kind of a unique place for a bar, and I do basically turn it around so they can still make their drinks. They just can't, you know, put any bar stools on the other side or pick up their drinks from that side. They can still pick up the drinks though, so that's not a concern. And then I just toss a chair in the corner here, I believe, and that's about it. There's just kind of some random chairs places. The bar's over there, so they can go ahead and entertain. And then we move on upstairs as well. I was kind of playing around with the shape of a few of the rooms. I was kind of all over the place right there. That almost made me dizzy, so I'm so sorry if that made you guys dizzy too. But I decided to tackle the parents' bedroom first, and I was trying to decide what bedroom was going to be what, because they're all kind of the same size and they're all awkward shaped. So aside from the landing area, I didn't really know what to make each room. And I struggled with the curtains a lot in this room, actually in the build all in all, because the base game curtains, I'm not a fan. I'm just going to be very explicit there. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the base game curtains. The only ones that I actually really like are just the stick straight ones that come in, I think it's like green, blue, white, and brown or something like that. And they were just way too simple. I wanted the curtains in this build to have a little bit more dimension to them. So the ones downstairs I ended up liking a lot, but the ones upstairs, I honestly had to push through it because I really didn't like them, but I thought they were the only ones that worked. So you guys will have to let me know what you think of that. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, but they're there and they're gonna stay there. And then I just grab a dresser, one of those fake hampers, so that's not one that functions with the laundry day pack, which I do have, and that's what I wanted to make sure of, is I didn't use anything like that. So it's just one that came with base game. And I do give them a couch in the corner and a bookshelf. And now I'm working on the little landing area, so I give them a little fishbowl because at least it's something different aside from a plant or something like that. And I was really trying to think of decorations in this little landing area, and I end up going with a lot of music-inspired decor when I have big spaces to fill, because there are so many cool pieces that are music inspired, like jazz inspired, which I love jazz. I've probably mentioned it in a couple of builds or alluded to it when I'm like, maybe they're listening to some smooth jazz as they entertain. Like, that is my jam. So I get very excited to use that decor, and I just made that whole landing spot basically music/jazz themed. And you know what? I don't know if someone is really into music or if they just really like the decor items, but we could play around with that too in gameplay. Whatever works and whatever happens, I don't know. And now we're in the children's room, so I tend to go with a lot of families with 2 children because I don't make a lot of giant houses to get like 3 or 4 bedrooms in. So in this one, it is just 2 boys, I was thinking, though of course this could be 2 girls, this could be a boy and a girl, whatever your heart desires, however you want to play with this house and whatever household you want to create. But I was thinking that at least the children Sims were, one was very creative and one was very into science and like mathematics, so they would be building up the mental skill a lot. And the other one's just very creative and playful. And I didn't really go much farther than that. I just wanted to get as many decor items as I could because kids' rooms I really like to clutter up and make a little bit more chaotic because I feel like kids are just a mess, and it's not really it's not really a realistic expectation to have their rooms be pristine all the time. So those are usually very messy. And here's the TV room that I mentioned earlier. So this is at least a place where the family can get together and watch TV or a movie or something like that, or just hang out and read, because I do put another bookcase in here and there's plenty of seating for all of your Sims. So I thought that was kind of a nice touch. So I just tossed some plants in the corner, and I don't clutter up the walls too much with decoration. I was trying to at first, but I decided to leave it somewhat empty, to be honest. And I do combine those 2 bookshelves, so they're both accessible, but they do overlap just a little bit in that corner. And then I just put a plant in the corner here, and that's pretty much it. The TV room's actually very simple. I toss a rug over near the bookcases and put one of the kids' chairs instead of this nice big leather one. And I do put that painting easel in the corner as well. So again, maybe someone in this house is very creative. And now we're onto one of the few balconies, and I put these beautiful lounge chairs that we got with Island Living. So maybe mom and dad can come out here and relax. And the view from this little balcony is actually so pretty. And pardon this very long pause too. This was one that I missed in editing, and I think I got distracted by my cat. So actually, I've probably mentioned it too. I have 2 cats, and every now and then they just get a little crazy and they may interrupt me while I'm in the middle of a build, and I didn't catch that in editing. So I apologize for that. Hopefully it wasn't hopefully it didn't like set you off or anything like that in thinking, oh my gosh, did my computer just freeze? So sorry ahead of time. And now we're already into the backyard. So I do fence it off with this fencing that pretty much every house in this neighborhood has. And granted, it doesn't necessarily match the color scheme I had. It was the only one that really seemed to work, because I did try out a few other fences too. And I do go ahead and give them a pool. I just add some lights here, and I made the trim very dark as well as the ladder to match basically the aesthetic of the rest of the build. And then I just do an outside seating area as well. And again, another moment of cat distraction, so forgive that too. And yeah, it's just kind of an umbrella seating area. And I put a grill over here in this little area because I didn't really know what to put here. And I just put 2 benches and something on the wall because I didn't really know what to do there. It wasn't enough room for seating, and it wasn't enough room for, you know, any other kind of like activities or anything. So that's about it. And we're actually almost to the screenshot. So thank you guys so much for watching this and bearing with me as I doubt myself a lot. And I'll catch you next time I post a video. Talk to you soon. Bye.
I should look for you in the stars above. I should cross the oceans for a glimpse of your love. But tonight my bed is a cold and empty space in which I find no shelter from your haunting face. Ay, mi corazón, temor maldición. Ay, mi corazón, temor, maldición, temor, maldición. The moon's silvery light, I have heard your song, carrying it through the night, but still I have faltered time and time again. In each and every moment that the heavens sends, ay mi corazón, temor, maldición. Ay mi corazón, temor, maldición, temor, maldición. Ay mi corazón.